Thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate it. I'm here with Jane Gutcher and Brian Sahaley and Taylor Stockwell, one of our alumna. To start, could you maybe just introduce yourselves if you're a parent, tell us the grades of your children and their names, and Taylor, maybe give us a little bit of an update of where you've gone since Hudson, maybe starting with Jane and then Brian and Taylor.
Hey. Hi, my name is Jane. I have two students at Hudson. My son Reese just finished 8th grade, and our daughter Chloe is going into 11th this year.
Hi, my name is Brian Sahaley, and my oldest daughter named Sarah Sahaley. She's going to be going into grade 9 next year. And we just enrolled our youngest daughter as well to be joining grade 6 at Hudson this year, and we're excited to see how she's molded at Hudson.
I'm Taylor. I was a student at Hudson from grade 11 to grade 12, and then I graduated. Sorry, what was the question? I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine. Where have you gone since Hudson, and what have you been up to?
Okay, yes, I'm at University of Guelph, studying psychology, and I'm doing a minor in philosophy. And I plan to go into the more social psychology route, but I'm still not totally sure.
Perfect. Okay, so maybe I'll start with the parents. Can you maybe talk first a bit about why you chose Hudson originally? And then the second part of that is, in what ways is Hudson what you expected, and what maybe surprised you a little bit about the school?
Okay. Originally, we were at a different school, another private school, and we were really looking for a different environment. And so when we toured various schools, at first Hudson seemed a little small and whatnot. But once we did the tour with the school student rep, and then having a chat with Jack Babington, and especially with my daughter, Chloe had a really engaging conversation with Jack. We decided that perhaps we should give Hudson a try. And once we arrived, it's always a little bumpy start because we started mid-year. But once school started getting going, just before the COVID shutdown, Chloe was really a changed person. Like she came out of her shell. She was a little bit more chatty about school. And so we really realized that we made the right choice. And she was coming home and telling us about the conversations she was having in the classroom with her teacher and with the other students, and how engaging everybody was. So I think we came to a conclusion that even though Hudson's a little small, it actually created a really great forum for her to be able to express her thoughts and opinions. So yeah, we're really happy now.
And Brian, why did you come to us originally, and what were your expectations, and how was it maybe different or the same?
So my oldest daughter, she finished grade 6 at a different school. So we're actually looking for a grade 7, grade 8 school. But for where we live, there's our school area. No one has really gone to that school because they used to go to the optional schools that then closed all optional. So we were nervous about sending her to that school for the first time without any experience from other parents, and none of her friends in her class was going to that school. So we explored actually only one other school, which was Hudson. We met one of the kids who actually went to the previous school that my daughter went to. And he was being honest about everything. And he was saying how there's a lot of homework at Hudson, and they support you, and they're very structured. And we went and we watched a few presentations. It was actually Mr. Veleno, now that I look back at it, who became my daughter's grade 8 class. And we were just impressed. It was a small school, and it seemed family oriented, but everything that we were hoping for in a school, we got it. It's just amazing. It has done really well for my daughter. I used to tell everyone is that I used to be at home, basically teaching my daughter different stuff and following up with her on different stuff. And she never used to like that much. And ever since she went Hudson, I'm now able to be a parent. So I have not had to sit down with her once since she joined Hudson. And I've been completely a dad. I don't have the tears and all that stuff that we used to. So it's very good. It made our bond strong and made me be a parent. And that's the number one thing I tell everyone about Hudson. I'm able to be a dad and not a teacher. And that's what I'm most grateful for.
Absolutely. So now coming to Taylor, can you tell us a little bit about what you appreciated most while you were at Hudson? And has your perspective on your time at Hudson changed a little bit now that you have some distance from the school?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that I loved about the school. I'd say what I appreciated most was probably the community, because it was a small school, everyone kind of knew each other, and it didn't really matter what grade you were in, you could be friends with anyone. I remember Jack Babington saying that would happen, and I didn't believe them until I went, and then that happened. So I'd say that really stuck out to me, and the education quality was also very good. So I found I was, getting really good grades in most of my subjects and understanding the material, particularly English. Grade 11 English changed everything. Even my dad said my essay writing improved like crazy. And leaving Hudson, I guess in some ways my perspective has changed in realizing how unique the school was to other people I've met in their own high school experiences. The kinds of stuff offered at Hudson, like the Greece trip, was definitely not something that you'd find at other schools, and that was incredible. And just I think as I meet more people and learn about other people's experiences, I just become grateful that I was able to go to Hudson and experience such a cool high school experience.
Yeah, we're definitely hoping to reintroduce the international trips as soon as possible.
You really should.
Because everybody loves them, and they're such a big part of the high school experience in particular.
They are.
Coming back to Jane and Brian, can you talk a little bit more? You got into it a bit before, but what do you think the biggest impact has been on your children or child and soon to be children?
Like I said, for Chloe, it really, she really came out of her shell. I can't I don't know how to express that even more strongly, but at the other school that she was at, she didn't feel like she had a voice. As a female student, she didn't feel like she had a voice. And she always felt that there was this sense that she was being taught at and not taught. There wasn't this inclusive sense of learning. So when we came to Hudson, one of the things that she really loved was how engaging the teachers are. They asked her for her opinion, and sometimes Chloe can have very interesting points of view, but she felt like she was validated and it was okay to have those different points of view. And I think that's what really made her feel more confident. And so as far as something like Taylor mentioned, like her writing, she expresses herself verbally to us very eloquently. However, when she was writing things down, she was always second guessing everything. So she was always thinking that she was going to be judged for her writing certain kind of points of views or opinions. But because she was given that confidence, she was able to really express herself well. And I think that came out in her writing as well. Her writing did improve. I did notice that. So, yeah.
And for Sophia, Brian?
Sarah,
Excuse me.
Yeah, she's guided.
Sophia's coming next.
So the biggest impact the school has had on Sarah is that it has gained her confidence. She has a lot more confidence now of speaking up. Like, she knows the ideas, but she never used to speak up. and she's speaking up now. She's very independent. I do not need to ever ask her if she has homework or if she's done her homework. She wants to do her work. She makes sure she gets it done and she follows the rules. So she's more confident, independent now. And I mean, the teachers are being so supportive for her. Like they have done wonders for her. Mr. Hunt was unbelievable, and then Mr. Valena was unbelievable as well. So they've made her feel comfortable, and they made her shine in what her talent is. So we're really grateful for it. This is all the money we've spent on Hudson, everything has been worth it today, completely.
And so Taylor, thinking a bit about, particularly since you had attended a different high school as well, what in your experience do you think differentiates Hudson from other schools?
I think one, how accepting the students are. That's something that it's interesting because there are social dynamics and I guess statuses, but everybody is kind of friends, and that's something that I didn't experience at the school prior. It was very cliquey, not a very comfortable environment. And when I got to Hudson, I was actually initially very guarded because I didn't understand that people would be like so nice and just like everybody could be friends. And I think for me, that's what stuck out a lot. And in addition to that, I think at my old school, while it was a private school, the teachers were a little bit hesitant to push the students to their full potential, especially if they liked the student. They'd often just give them a good grade. And when I went to Hudson, I met a lot of teachers who weren't doing that. And I was initially getting bad grades and I was shocked, but it really motivated me to care about school and to care about improving the quality of my work and my grades. And that's something that has carried with me both through my academics at university, but also when it comes to writing resumes for jobs and stuff like that. So I think that, in addition to how personalized the learning is, I think I got so much out of the school. Yeah.
And so coming back to the parents again, how would you describe the values of Hudson and the values of families within the Hudson community?
Okay. One of the things that always is important for any parent is a high level of learning. Obviously, especially when you're going to a private school, you're paying for the education. So you hope that you are getting an return on your investment. And definitely with Hudson, we can't say that we have anything that we have to complain about as far as the level of education. Both our children, even Reese in the lower school, we really appreciate that they're challenged, and they are really, each of the teachers it seems like they get to know our kids and see what really kind of, I guess, motivates them. And then using that really uses like certain techniques to help them really push them to their limits. And so they can write a better paper or solve the harder questions in math, do the extra math questions, things like that. So I think what we can see is that Hudson really values a high level of education, but they're also really inquisitive in trying to get to know the kids, and they're caring. So I see those as the values that I observe that Hudson has.
Yeah, Brian, can you maybe expand on that a little too?
Well, Jana basically almost said it all. The teachers care. That's number one. They mandate structure. They mandate discipline. And I grew up, when I was a kid, all my schools demanded that. And I found I don't see that much here. But at Hudson, at other schools, but Hudson, they demanded it. So it kind of reminded me how I learned when I was a kid. And I believe structure is very important to any school, structure and consistency. So that's one of the big things that we see at other schools that normally frustrate us is consistency. If there's, I don't mind consistent bad, consistent good, but when you have the wavelengths of good, bad, depending on which teacher you get, how they're teaching, what their values are, how much homework they're given, I find that confuses kids. I think it brings inequality depending on which teacher you get, when you get that teacher. But Hudson, there's pure consistency. I know what I'm gonna get from my kid. I know what I'm gonna get from the school, the teacher, what they expected. There's a consistent value there. And I think that's very important for a child to learn that there's an expectation and it's gonna stay like this every year. So I think that's very key. And I personally wish all schools would follow that concept. So Hudson have it right on the nail. And I think it's a family school. So I think you can do that more than in other schools. But no, it's again, all the values that I grew up with matches identical to Hudson values. So I appreciate that.
Definitely. And being JK through 12, I think really helps for creating that experience even. And hopefully you'll both find that as Reese moves into the upper school and as Sarah does as well. So for Taylor, what's something families would find most surprising about the school?
Well, again, I think maybe something that would surprise you is that everybody is friends regardless of the grade, because that's truly something at my old high school that didn't exist. If you were in a different grade from someone, they were just off limits. You couldn't talk to them. And I think, at least for my parents, the tri-semester system caught them off guard a little bit. But I think, although, this might not be part of the question, I'll mention that was honestly one of the best systems I think that you can have for high school, to have things split up like that, because it allowed students to have about like an hour and a half every day to do whatever work they had. So it kind of gave you structured independence, which was really cool, because I think, that taught me how to manage my time and how to have a good work ethic, so that I had time to do things I enjoyed as well. So I guess those two things, the social acceptance and the tri-semester system probably would surprise parents most.
Perfect. Okay, this is one for everyone, and maybe we'll start with Jane. So if Hudson were a single person, in 3 words, what would its personality be like?
Okay, I think I touched on it already with the last one, but well, I actually wrote some notes on it, and it's the ones that I came up with was insightful, caring, and intelligent. And insightful because the teachers are really get to know the kids, and I think the teachers themselves, they perhaps it's because it's a small school, they seem to all know each other. And so if, say, Chloe was in one teacher's class, another teacher might talk about Chloe and say, okay, she's having a bit of a stressful day, or she was stressed about having 3 papers due on the same week, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like it's kind of collaborative teaching amongst the teachers, and they get to know the students, and they ask the right questions to the students to kind of pull out the answers that they're looking for. So that's why I think they're insightful. They're caring because with the insights they get, they actually take action. It's not about just, okay, Chloe's a good student or she's struggling. It's always about really, even if she's doing well, how they can help her to do better, or how they can make sure that she doesn't burn out. So they're very caring. All the teachers, Chloe has actually told me on occasion that her teacher said, oh, so-and-so, another teacher, said something about me, and etc. So obviously very caring environment. And I said intelligent because, and this is something that I didn't touch on, but Hudson, it seems that has so many things that are a little bit unique to from other schools. Things like all the kind of STEM equipment, the way that there is a lot more collaborative discussions in class. There's just different tools that the schools using, like say having the laptop program. I think that's really amazing because one of the teachers mentioned to me last year when Chloe was taking math with him, said, well, we allow the kids to use computers and calculators because this is what they'll need to do in university. So Hudson is really preparing the kids, not just to finish high school, but to be able to use the tools that are out there and not pretending that they don't exist. And then they're allowing them to become proficient in it. So when they go to university, that they're able to take notes on a computer. I mean, I have struggled taking notes in a meeting on my computer even still. I still use a pen and paper, but the fact that those kind of skills are being learned now. And Taylor, I don't know what your experience has been like, but to have that learning curve be stamped down so that they already know going into university, those skills, I think that's something that's highly intelligent for a school to already have in place. So yeah, I think that's, yeah, well done, Hudson.
Wonderful. Okay, Brian, what are your 3 words?
I actually love that question. I'm going to start asking people that question from now on. Give me your 3 words that describe all this stuff. So here are my 3 words that I love Hudson. So the personality: consistent, structured, and supportive. Those are my 3 words. And I think every kid, everybody needs that. Consistency is very important, not to confuse the kid. You don't want to be going from different teachers within the same grade or from one grade to the next grade and have a whole different level of expectations. All the teachers at Hudson, they follow the same requirements of the school. So there's no confusion. And I think that's very important. Structured. So again, you give homework, you give tests, you give exams, you expect them to be done. You expect people to be obedient, to behave in school. There's that structure there. So everybody know what's expected from the schools. There's no guessing game. So that's awesome. And then the last one is supportive. If the teachers see that children need help, they help them. If they need to give them extra time, they give them extra time. If they realize that they need a confidence boost, they'll do what they can to give the confidence boost. So they're always supportive. My daughter has never felt scared to go and approach the teacher about anything. Even one test she did, and then she wrote the right answer, but then she erased it and changed it because of something else, even to go challenge the teacher about something. But they're willing to approach the teacher about anything, and any mistakes the teacher is able to explain to them and give them extra time. So it's really good. So those are my 3 words: consistent, structured, and supportive.
Well, what about you, Taylor?
Yeah, I think the first word I would use is thoughtful. Kind of bouncing on what Jane was saying. I think the way that Hudson has structured the semesters and a lot of its classes made it very, I wouldn't say easy, but it made it a lot easier to transition to university. Because I have a lot of friends who were like shocked when they found out they had to do so much reading every week, and that, you know, it was a unit every week because they didn't go to a semester at school. And that was just something that I was used to. Like, it wasn't a surprise to me. It was in grade 11 when I went, but then in university it wasn't. And then the second word is self-expressive. Hudson is very unique in a lot of ways, in a very good way. And I think if Hudson was a person, they would be very unapologetic, and they they would say things that maybe not everyone thought of, but eventually everyone could come to agree with. And my third word would be creative, kind of bouncing, I guess, on self-expressive. But I think the way Hudson has chosen to focus on the students and really prioritize the success of the students instead of doing things the cookie cutter way. I think it's extremely creative. And I think you need that to really create change, because I don't think the education system is incredible as is. I think it's kind of barbaric in a lot of ways. And I really love when I see high schools just thinking of new ideas to do things and to educate people, because education is very important. Anyway.
No, that's so well articulated. Thank you. So Jane and Brian, your last question is, what do your children have to say about the school?
Okay. Well, Chloe recently told us that she actually misses going to school. She can't wait for school to start, which is really strange for a 16-year-old to say to our parents in the middle of summer vacation. But she, similar to what Taylor said, actually, Chloe really enjoys the fact that she has friends in all the different grades. She was really sad when last year when a couple of friends that she had in grade 12 had graduated, and they were from overseas and they had gone back overseas. And then she also has friends, because it's an international school, she had some friends that were from other countries. She had friends that, yes, all from all the different grades. And I think that was really great for her. She also feels like she just says that Hudson's the right place for her. We were having a bit of a heart to heart, and she said, yeah, thank you for changing schools. Thank you for allowing us to do that. And she just feels that she's finally landed at the right place. And she feels like, yeah, the whole student body and the teachers are very caring. And so she doesn't feel like she's not just going to school. When she's in school, she feels like she's part of a family there as well. So yeah, she loves it.
That's awesome. Brian?
So there's nothing more make you happy as a parent to see your daughter come home and so anxious to tell you all these stories about school. So Sarah will come home, we'll be eating dinner, or even during COVID when we're eating lunch, and she'll have all these stories she'll be telling us about what happened in class, what happened with her friends, what happened with the teachers, or the teachers did this game outside, boys against girls, and the teachers were actually playing as part of the game on the boys' team, and it just so excited. Like, you just see the glowing on the face, the blushing. It's so excited, like, to have your child actually love the school and enjoy it rather than coming home and crying and not happy. To have them be happy and excited and tell you stories. Why would you change school? So to be honest, we were actually gonna look at different schools after grade 8, but after seeing how Sarah had done at Hudson, we didn't even bother to go to any other schools. We just said, sign us up, Michelle, let's pay early, which we did. So it's she's very happy, and it has made her independent, and she's loved it. And again, she gets to be my daughter rather than my student. So it's just her big smiles and stories just says it all about what she thinks about the school. So she's very happy, and I do hope that Hudson works out as great for my younger daughter as my older daughter. So that would be great as well. I'm looking for that. But yes, she loves it. She loves Hudson a lot. And maybe she'll come like Taylor after high school to university. She can be the alumni talking here.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm sure she'll be an amazing ambassador next year as well. Awesome. Once we start getting able to begin activities, those sorts of things again. So we're going to give the alumna the last word. We have 2 final questions. We'll start with the one about, if you could change one thing at Hudson for the better, what would you change?
That's a tough question for me because I think most things about the school I absolutely loved. Um, it's hard. It's legitimately hard. Um, can you ask the second question and can I come back to that?
Sure. Absolutely. We'll just repeat it. No problem. I think this is a really wonderful one. I love hearing it from alumni as well. What advice would you give to students who are just entering the school?
I'd say, if you're anxious about fitting in, you're generally anxious about whatever expectations you have for high school, to do your best just to let it happen, because Hudson will very quickly prove your anxieties wrong. And if you stop putting those expectations on other people in the school, then you'll soon realize that it's an incredible place, and there are people that will love to be your friend and that will accept you, and to treat high school a bit like maybe an experiment. I think Hudson is a really great place because it's very forgiving to mistakes, and yeah, just to try to enjoy yourself.
Perfect. So any last thoughts on improvements or things that might make the experience a little bit better?
You know what? Maybe one thing. This is a small thing, but at my old school, they used to do open mics I believe it was every month. And I absolutely loved them. I'd perform every single month. And that was actually one of the things, interestingly, that made it hard to leave the school, because it added a lot to the environment. I mean, it was very fun. It was kind of a fun part of every month. You were always excited to see what people had prepared. So I think doing like a formal open mic in the gym as much as possible would actually be really great. And I think there's a lot of very artistic people at Hudson. I met fantastic singers, dancers, trying to think, even visual artists. And I think giving an opportunity that's a little more extracurricular to more frequently express that would be a great idea.
Well, that's perfect. We can, I'm sure, do that very easily. Well, thank you so much all for your time today. It's so nice, since I'm admissions, usually I'm meeting you just at the beginning of your journey at Hudson. It's so lovely to connect with you and reflect on how it's been, and really hear firsthand all of these experiences. And we so appreciate it. And Taylor, really wish you the best in your studies for next year. I hope it all settles. And Jane and Brian, we're so looking forward to having Reese and Chloe and Sarah and Sophia join us. And I'm sure next year will be another great year.